Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today we are back with the latest beta release for the Pimax Client software that has the Pimax XR or OpenXR integrated with it. Stick around to find out what the benefits are and what some things are still required in order to get the most out of OpenXR. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below.
Overkill simulations, watch us as we fly. Overkill simulations, the thrill will never die.
Alright you guys, so as I stated, this is the Pimax Crystal Light running with the latest version of the Pimax Client with the OpenXR or Pimax XR integration already in the software. So what have I done? I have uninstalled the Pimax XR software from my PC as well as the OpenXR software initially to verify the functionality of it. So the really cool thing is that I had no problems being able to launch Microsoft Flight Simulator without the use of Steam VR. The performance benefits were just about as they were with using the OpenXR toolkit and having the Pimax XR installed, but given that that is no longer a requirement, it makes it significantly easier and obviously less work. Now the one thing that I did do is I did reinstall the OpenXR toolkit, that way I could display the frames per second that you guys are seeing on the screen right now. So we're holding about 45 frames per second. Now we are using motion compensation or smart smoothing that is available in the Pimax software as well as the DLSS in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So let me go ahead and show you guys the graphic settings so you guys get an idea of where we're at. So you guys can see there it is, the DLSS super resolution is enabled. We are running quality at depth as our projection mode. And let me go ahead and show you guys what the overall graphic settings are for Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're running on a high configuration. There's just a couple things that I tend to tone down a little bit. And actually, everything seems to be running pretty much as I normally set it. So I'm sort of curious why that's not on. Let's go ahead and change that to the standard high. There we go. I'm not quite sure what got toned down there. But anyway, let's go ahead and do that. We'll hit apply. I don't know why every time we do that, Microsoft Flight Simulator has to set our throttles to full aft. Oh, start up. Let's get them turned up again. Oh, come on. Oh, it killed everything. There we go. All right. Let's go ahead and release the parking brake. Let's go for a flight. And see how it all goes. Now this is my first flight with the Pimax XR integrated with the Pimax Client. I can tell you right now, inside the headset, everything is as clear and crystal as you could see what I did there, crystal, as you guys can actually really ask for out of this. We are running the RTX 4080. Keep in mind, I do now have the Ryzen 9 7900X3D. So that is also running as the processor. This is the Black Square Baron G58 analog cockpit, as you guys can see. We are flying out of my hometown of Tucson, Arizona. Traffic is enabled, default in the sim, and it looks like we're going to take off with a bit of a tailwind, but that's all right. We'll pull the flaps down for that. All right, and we'll just push and go here. Airspeed alive. 60 knots, rotating. Come on. Oh. And it is running absolutely flawless. Everything is nice and clear. No stuttering, no frame loss. Frames and everything increase slightly, which makes sense as we come into a bank because we're rendering less terrain. And again, we do have the DLSS obviously enabled, and we have smart smoothing enabled inside of the Pimax software, so that's obviously going to help. But that's why the frames are going to be limited down to 45. Inside the Pimax Client software, I have the frame rate target set to 90 frames per second. Live weather and traffic are enabled. We'll go check out the boneyard here. Give us something to do. Oop, wrong button. Man, those frames are just solid. And I can't stress enough how amazing everything looks inside the headset. You guys should be seeing pretty much an exact representation of what I'm seeing. I'm using the OpenXR Mirror Toolkit, which is an API that works with OBS, so you guys are seeing the image that is being streamed directly to the headset. So it's not like we're doing any kind of upscaling or super sampling for the recording. What you guys are seeing in the recording is what I am seeing in the headset. This is the AMARG storage yard, located at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson. It is the largest aircraft storage facility in the world. Most of these aircraft have the ability to be up and flight ready within 48 hours. All these aircraft here that are on the left are mothballed. So they're not actually, a lot of people call it the graveyard. The graveyard's on the other side. It's really not the graveyard, it's a storage yard. So let's play around with something here real quick. See if we can't get the terrain load distance up a bit. Let's kick some of these up here. Let's see what we get. So again, little to no impact. The load distance is a little low. I'd like to see that be a bit higher, but still not bad. I can easily identify where I'm wanting to go. So far the benefits are definitely there. Frame rate seems to be significantly more consistent. Now when I say significantly, that just means I'm not seeing the numbers go down. They're not dipping below my target as much as they would sometimes. And I did test this before making the change to the integrated version. With the same aircraft, same location, basically same flight that we're doing now. And it was still great performance, but I was seeing it drop below 45 multiple times, where here we're climbing above it, and I have yet to see it go below 45 once. So that's a good thing. So the consistency seems to be there. By the way, I do not have Microsoft Flight Simulator set as a high priority in the CPU affinity, for those of you who are aware of what that is. I forgot to do it. I don't set it automatically because I like to test both with and without, depending on what I'm doing. So sometimes I set it to high, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's like, you know, especially after updates, I like to see if it's just running better in its default configuration without having to make any changes. Because that's the goal, right? The goal is plug and play. The goal is to be able to just start it up, not have to worry about any settings, changes, configurations, anything like that. Is to be able to just jump in and fly and have it work. So I will say with the Pimax beta version that has OpenXR and the Pimax XR installed automatically, that obviously is one less step. It's also one less process that has to be triggered by you or installed by you, less configuration required when launching new games or simulators. And you're able to set the API directly from the runtime directly from the Pimax client. We do have the ability to change to Steam VR, but if you guys have been watching my channel for any length of time, you guys know that I'm very, very, very anti-Steam VR. I know some games you still have really no choice depending on what it is and how old or new the title is, but Steam VR is just, it's got a lot of junk in it. It's got a lot of nonsense in it that unfortunately affects performance. So let's go ahead and start slowing her down, and we'll bring it in for a landing. You can see another aircraft out there. You can also see some of the artifacting due to the DLSS. So that obviously is a downfall to that. But we'll fall in behind this guy here. You guys can see the smoothness no matter through the full range of motion in my head. But this is definitely the best VR performance I've had in Microsoft Flight Simulator as of to date. A massive difference for sure. Yeah, Pimax has definitely come a very long way, guys. They are definitely getting ahead of the game here. Now, as we came down to land here, I got a little bit of stuttering and some artifacting that I saw, or stuttering, but still well within the performance expectations for virtual reality as of today, right? And again, running an RTX 4080, not the 4090. I will tell you that in TAA, it definitely works, and I can show you guys real quick, give you guys an idea of what TAA would look like in its current condition. Although, I'm not going to lie, there are times it has crashed it when I switch it, so no promises, but let's see what happens. And it crashed. So, with TAA, I'm just going to keep you guys on for a second. With TAA, what typically happens is the frame rate tends to be a little bit more unstable. I can still hit the mid to high 40s, but it bounces all over the place. It gets very, very dramatic at times depending on the scenario, and as you guys can see, it really doesn't like it when we switch, which makes sense, from TAA to DLSS while in VR, so keep that in mind. But this is also a beta version, I want to stress that, from the Pimax Client. So obviously, as we get into the release version, things will be ironed out and more polished out. You guys should be very, very excited for this. There is definitely a noticeable improvement in the stability of the VR experience with this latest integration of Pimax XR and OpenXR directly into the Pimax Client. So, as always, guys, leave your comments down below. I love reading them. Stay safe and healthy. I'll see you in the next one.